Our next virtual summit speaker is VirtualPreneur behind the Mosaic Online, Daniel Bruce Levin. Daniel walked away from an opportunity to run a billion-dollar business to hitchhike around the world to find happiness and inner peace. He studied in a seminary 5 years and left one day before becoming a rabbi, and he has lived as a monk in a monastery for 10 years. As director of business development, he grew Hay House from 3 million a year in sales to 100 million a year in revenue. Levin is a rare blend of businessman and a mystic who sees what others do not see. Virtualpreneurs, our next speaker, Danielle Bruce Levin.
Thank you so much, Ruben, for that introduction and for allowing me to be here with your people and sharing some of my insights, and for your interest in even what I do and how I do it. Because what I believe in a world that we live in today, it's in sitting with each other, listening to each other, hearing the way we succeed, hearing the things that we've done, and listen to them, but not necessarily following them. One of the things that I believe, which is really different than most people believe, is that you always need to reinvent the wheel. Because just because the wheel has worked for somebody, you can take 90% of the wheel and make it yours. But who we are is so different than who somebody else is. And just because that worked for somebody else does not mean it will work for us. We have to know what will work for us and how it will happen. So I am, again, you have to understand, I am somebody who sees differently the world that everybody else sees. So in a world where so many people say to you, look, the model's there, the template's there, this is the way you do it, just do it the way everybody's doing it, and you will be successful. You might make money. But I've watched all too many people lose all their fulfillment. Because we can never be good at being somebody else. We have to figure out our way. And even in these videos that I'm doing for you, in this conversation that we're doing, you'll see that I'm somewhat different than most other people. And some people may find that beautiful. Some people may find that, like, what? Who the heck is this guy? Why is he talking like that? And that's okay to me. Because when you have the courage to stand in your own place, in your own energy, in your own field, when you have the courage to be yourself, those people that are drawn to you will come, and those people who are not drawn to you will not. And that's okay. Because eventually, if you can bring a groundswell of people together, and if the energy of what you're doing starts to grow, many of the people that weren't interested in you before will find you very interesting suddenly, because you're interesting and you're growing, and they will join you. But if you try and go after them in the beginning, you'll lose everything you have. So what do? In the most simple way, I reintroduce people to themselves. We live in a world where people live on the periphery. If you think of a bicycle wheel, what you have is you have a hub, you have spokes, and you have the outer rim. So many of us live on the outer rim, where anything that happens in life throws us. And the faster we go, the harder we hit the ground, because it spins us off, because we're right here on the rim. Many other people talk to us about all the things that they do. Those are the spokes. What you do is not who you are. And so what I try and do is I try and bring people back to their core, to the hub. Because when you're at your hub, when you know who you are, when you know what you do, when you know what your gift is in the world, when you know why you're here. I ask so many people, do you know why you're here? What's your purpose? I don't know. Standard reply is, I don't know. Well, how can you not know why you're here? One of the most important things I believe for people to understand is, why were they created here? Why now? Why right in this moment? What are you here to do that nobody else could do, that you had to be created to do it in this moment? It gives so much power to what you do. So I help people find that place. I help people rediscover themselves. In fact, what I do is I help them remember who they are. and reintroduce them to themselves so that they can be strong in who they are and feel confident and good about who they are, not only what they do, but who they are and what they do. Because when we know who we are, the way we show up and what we do is entirely different. What would be my motivation in helping other people build their brands and credibility? This is such a central point, and it's so important, and I'm so happy you asked that question. Because to me, the world needs to hear your voice. So many people today feel unheard. So many people today feel unseen. The trip that I wanted to take around the world before COVID-19 came and postponed it, that I will continue to take once it's safe to travel again, is to sit on street corners, to be in bookstores, to go to businesses, to go to civic halls, to give talks, to give listenings, to be with government, to be with people that are on the street, and to just ask them to tell me who they are. And I want to film that. Because what I think is we are 8 billion people now living in this world. And most of us feel our voice doesn't matter. It's time for us in America, our Constitution starts with 3 words: we the people. I believe it's time to recreate, to create. I don't think that we've ever lived in a we the people world. We live in a vertical reality where people are always teaching us, telling us, talking to us, leading us, governing us, helping us. But the Mosaic has taught me, my book that I wrote is called The Mosaic, and the Mosaic has taught me through its visual example that there is another world beside our vertical reality where teachers teach and leaders lead and self-help people help and religion fixes. There's a world where called a horizontal world, where all that is necessary for us to make an impact in the world is to come together with each other and just be together. And that idea of pieces coming together to creates an artistry which is far beautiful than anything we could ever imagine. So what my gift is, what my desire is, what my motivation is to let every piece of that mosaic know who they are. Let every piece not try to be somebody else, but to know who they are and to feel strong in who they are and to contribute to the totality of this mosaic where all of the pieces who know who they are come together to create an artistry that knows even deeper who it is. It's my dream that we will find similarities again rather than differences. It's my dream that we will, like a mosaic that connects sometimes just from the very smallest corner to the very smallest corner, that we will share similarities. We will make those connections. Even if we have very little in common, we'll find those places that we do have in common, and we will complete the mosaic by not leaving any space in our connection. It's only when we see the similarities that we have versus the differences that even becomes possible. What was my business affected by COVID-19? Absolutely. I just told you I was about to set out on a round the world trip, which I was leaving May 1st. Today is April 21st. It's not. I would have been 10 days away from leaving right now. That is obviously not happening for a little while until it's safe to travel, until people feel comfortable being able to mix and without social distancing, without that being a problem. And so how are we coping with that? That's a huge change. I was getting ready to spend a year at least on the road. How am I coping with it? When something like this happens in the world, when there's a pause, not only in one area, but when the whole world goes on pause, it's time for us to stop and notice. I think we're being asked to live life differently. I think the way that we have been living has brought us to a place of unrest and has brought us to a place of uns, we're not of dissatisfaction. We've made money the biggest thing in the world, and everybody wants money and money and money and all the luxuries of it. But that money has done nothing in the COVID virus. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how poor you have, all of us have been affected. I think we're being asked to pause. I don't think we are. We are being asked to pause. The whole world's been put on pause. The question is, what do we do with that pause? Do we look at ourselves and figure out how do we show up differently in this new world that will come post-pause? Or are we just longing to return back to what we always were? Returning back to what we always were would lose everything of what this moment has given us. We've got to move forward and understand, what does the new world want to look like now? How do we want to really relate to each other? How do we serve one another and help each other? How do we become connected to each other? In the disconnection and the isolation of COVID-19, so many of us have felt more connected than we ever have. In our isolation, what's happening is pollution is diminishing. People in India are saying that they can see the Himalayas and the snow caps on the mountains from 200 kilometers away that they've never seen before. The Ganges, the most sacred river in India, which was so polluted, has now in 2 weeks become 50% less polluted. Fish and dolphins are returning to the canals in Italy, where they never would swim. Animals are showing up on shorelines in South America, penguins that have never been there before. The air is cleaner, there's less traffic, people are not driving, the economy has completely fallen apart. You cannot have the world stand still and not say to yourself, how am I changing? And even with all that, when I speak to people, and so many people come to me and talk to me, and they'll tell me what the world is really changing. Isn't it beautiful to watch how the world's changing? And I'll say to them, but okay, my friend, how are you changing? What is? And they'll say, not really that much different. I work from home anyway, so it's not that big of a difference. And one part of me is so happy for them, and another part of me is so sad. Because how can it be that something so big like this doesn't impact you at all? Doesn't make a big change in your life, doesn't make you rethink what you're doing and how you're doing it. COVID-19, I believe, is giving us an opportunity to be more real. It's giving us an opportunity to come together. It's giving us an opportunity to realize the power that we have in connection. And in our isolation, what do we crave? We crave the ability to just be connected with other people. I remember early on in Italy, people standing on their balconies singing and having other people come onto their balconies singing the choruses. And you've seen so many videos where people have sang the same song and on Zoom, they are harmonizing with each other on Zoom, singing the same song because they long for the connection of what we used to have. We've lost that connection somehow. And I think COVID-19 is trying to reconnect us back to the most powerful connection we could ever have, which is human connection. I think it's important for every business to take a look at how are we doing business? How do we change the way we do business to really speak to the needs of the people that we're serving? I believe the biggest change will be a change when, and rather than telling people what we do, we listen to what people need and we serve them in what they need. So As a business consultant and mentor, what are the actionable strategies and tips you can share to businesses for them to survive during this time of crisis? I don't want you to only survive. I want you to thrive. The people all throughout history, there have been tremendous downfalls. Our culture, our civilization has gone through times where so many people have lost their jobs, so much tragedy has happened. And all the time during those periods of time, even though so many people have suffered, there have been a few who have seized the moment by being able to help people in a way that people really need to be helped, and have made fortunes while other people are dying in devastation. That isn't that they've benefited or tried to manipulate or do something. They've actually found a way to serve the people that need to be served. In this time, how does your business really serve mankind, humankind? When we can find, all of us are looking for it. My particular way of doing that is to say to people, when will you now take the time? When would now be a good time to take the time to get to know yourself in isolation? Instead of watching YouTube videos, or instead of watching Netflix, or instead of going out, instead of trying to think, how do I do all this other stuff? When would now be a good time to go inside? When the world tells you you can't go outside, what it's really telling you is take the time to go inside. I think the most beautiful thing that could ever happen right now is if our world took a moment to get to know itself. You understand, that's my message. It will always be my message. But I think the people that will prosper will be those people that understand that nothing out here, nothing on the rim of the wheel can make me lose my space, because I'm in the hub. And if you're watching your life go up and down, if you're watching yourself live in turmoil, if you're watching yourself in fear, come to the center of who you are and feel the power of who you are in the center. Let go of all the stuff that troubles you and just receive what this energy of this time is bringing. It's obviously coming here to give you something. If you try and hold on to what you were doing before, you'll go through pain. If you let go of all of that and just receive this new energy and ask, what is this new energy coming to give me? What does the world want me to do in this situation that I can never have done before? And listen and believe and know. I've had so many people that I work with and I talk to tell me, I don't know how it happened, Danny, but when I did what you just said, when I just let go and received, suddenly money was coming from places I could never even imagine, and more money than I ever dreamed of. I was trying to find this little bit of money over here when this big landfill came. Everything is possible if we learn to listen to what the world is saying, and we hear its message and we do what it asks us to do. The questions are all asking me, other business owners who are on downtime as a business coach, what would your suggestion to them be of how they can maximize their time? Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, Ruben, what I'm suggesting for people to do is take time to listen. When everything in the world is speaking to us. When I was writing my book, The Mosaic, it took me, I was going to finish it in 3 months. 2.5 years into it, I was going crazy because everything I was writing, files were being corrupted. I was losing information. I would write something in the evening and think it was great. In the morning, I would read it. It was terrible. And finally, after 2.5 years of this turmoil and tumultuous losing of information and things that I'd written and getting so frustrated, I literally looked at my book and I said to it, What are you trying to say to me? And one by one, the characters in my book came to me and spoke to me. And what they said, each of them in their own voice, is what you're writing for us, what you're trying to have us say, what you're writing is not what we want to say. Listen to what we're trying to tell you we want to say. Listen to what we're saying and write what we're saying. When I did that, the book was done in 6 weeks. So if inanimate creations can speak and have a voice, it made me see that everything in the world could speak and have a voice. My book is a story about a boy who loses his parents 2 years apart on the same day. And he asks the adults where his parents are, and they tell him they're in a place called heaven. So they set out, and this boy sets out as a young boy in search of the place called heaven, but he doesn't meet the rabbis and the priests and the swamis and the gurus and the shamans and the medicine men and all the people that you would think would help him. He meets common ordinary people. He meets a trash man and a road worker and a blind woman and a homeless man and a street artist and a juice man and a waitress and a flower girl. He wonders, why in the heck am I meeting these people? But he thinks, I'm here with them. Why not just listen to what they have to say? And when he listens to them, he realizes the person he initially saw is not at all the person they are. He realizes the world he sees is not at all the world that is. It's just the world he sees. And as soon as he realizes the world he sees is not the world that is, he looks over to his right and he sees a monk unzipping the sky and inviting him to walk through the unzipped sky to a parallel reality where he meets the wise one who's the keeper of the Mosaic. It's my hope that you'll read the book. It's available on Amazon, so I won't tell you too much more of the story in hopes that you will keep it and you will read it. But know this, nothing is as it seems. One of the big lessons of the Mosaic is nothing is as it appears. The world we see is just that. It's the world we see. So if we were to let go of the world we see, if we were to swipe it right, what would be there? What would we see if we got rid of all of our resistance? If we got rid of all the thoughts that say we can't do this? If we got rid of all the reasons why we do what we do, which is bringing us to the place that we are, what would happen if we let go of all that? What would we receive? What if our cup went from full to empty, and we had space in our cup now to be filled anew? How can you make your book or your business the center of attention in this season of COVID-19? I don't think you can make it anything. I think you have to get to this place, everything that I've been talking about in this interview, in this conversation, is about how do you see what's happening and how do you allow what's happening to help you reconstruct, recalibrate what it is you're doing so that it becomes relevant and important to this moment. When you find what it is that you can do that serves people in this moment, you don't have to make anything the center of attention. People will find it and want it and come to you because what you're doing will significantly help them do what they want to do. The best way to change the world is to help 1 billion people get what they want. When your business comes close to doing that, you don't have to worry about how to become the center of attention. So here's how I would close. We are in such a pivotal point in this moment, and life is made up of pivotal moments. Moments where one small change creates a whole different reality. And as a mosaic, we are one connection, one piece, one mosaic piece away from seeing the world entirely different. If you were a mosaic and the pieces surrounding you are holding you in and confining you like walls around you, I want to invite you to see those pieces differently. Allow those pieces to not be walls, but tunnels that lead you from where you are into a whole new reality. Walk through those tunnels, walk over those pieces, and allow yourself to experience what's just one piece away from you. In that one piece, everything that you want exists. Everything that you need exists. The way to do that is to speak less and listen more. One of the people that I met as I was preparing for my trip was a homeless man, and I love telling his story. I sat with him, and we got to become friends. And I asked him, Corey, you sit on this street corner and you watch people go by all the time. If you had one thing that you would share with the world that would help them live, make this world a world that they would love to hand down to their children and their children's children, rather than one that they feel is full of possibilities but isn't quite there yet, what would you tell them to do? He thought for a moment. And he said, Danny, I would invite each person to take 10 minutes of their time and find someone they don't know and ask them how they're doing. And I thought, how beautiful. But Corey, out of all the things in life that you could ask for, you're homeless. You could have asked for a home. You could say, put people up. You could have said anything. Why did you choose 10 minutes to sit with somebody? He said, it's interesting you asked, Danny, because about 3 weeks ago, I was sitting here and I was thinking I was a waste of time for life. People would come by and they would punch me. They would kick me. Sometimes I would get beaten up. Sometimes people would spit on me. I could feel the hatred that they had for me. And I felt, what am I doing in this world? I'm not doing anything significant. I'm not here for anybody. People are just trying to hurt me. Why don't I just take my life and end it? And I decided that evening I was going to go around the corner and I was going to kill myself. Not 2 minutes after I had that thought, a man came up to me and put his hand on my shoulder. And he said, brother, how are you doing? And I looked at him and tears started coming from my eyes. And I said, sir, I'm not doing that well. I'm so sorry. And he said, that's okay. And he sat down next to me. You know, it didn't take long. It only took about 10 minutes. In that 10 minutes, I was able to tell him everything that I felt, and I was able to feel his compassion for me. And something strange happened when our conversation ended and he left. What I realized is I couldn't kill myself anymore because someone actually cared about me. And Corey told me that man had no idea the impact that those 10 minutes had on my life. It's the reason why I'm still alive. Here's the interesting thing. Corey has no idea the impact his story had on my life. Because it's what has given me the courage now to go around the world, spending 10 minutes with people, or more or less, and just asking them how they are and filming them. We have no idea what impact we have when we just simply listen to another human being. We don't need to fix people. We don't need to change people. We don't need to lead people. We just need to hold each other and listen. It's my greatest hope that we will have a chance to sit together at one point in time and be with each other so that I can listen to what it is that makes you who you are. What it is that you would like to say to the world if the world would only listen to you. Your voice is so important. Speak it, live it, be it. You were created in this moment in time because nobody from the beginning of time to this moment And nobody from this moment till the end of time can do what you were created to do right now. This is your time to do that. I look forward to seeing you, to meeting you, to sitting with you, to listening to you, to hearing you, to having a conference call with you, to virtually meeting you online. And until that point, I send you all of my love and all of my blessings. Stay well.